The 1970s rewarded success, but it also punished it. Some artists became too big, too fast, their faces were everywhere, their songs were unavoidable, and that popularity came at a cost. Radio loved them, fans screamed for them, but critics turned on them. Credibility collapsed, and reputations never fully recovered. These are 10 artists from the 1970s who paid the price for being too popular. Number 10, Bay City Rollers. In the mid-1970s, it happened almost overnight. The Bay City Rollers went from anonymous Scottish teenagers to international sensations. Their tartan outfits, shaggy haircuts, and cheerful pop songs made them irresistible to teenage audiences. The hysteria had a name: Roller Mania. Girls screamed at airports, concerts dissolved into chaos, merchandise flooded record stores, radio embraced them. Saturday Night hit #1 in the United States in 1976. For a brief moment, they were being described as the biggest teen phenomenon since the Beatles. That comparison proved fatal. To rock critics, the Rollers represented everything wrong with pop music. The songs were labeled disposable. The image was mocked as manufactured. Their youth was treated as evidence of inauthenticity. The more popular they became, the less seriously they were taken. Matching outfits turned into punchlines. Screaming fans became proof that the music didn't matter. Their actual musicianship was dismissed before it could even be evaluated. By the time serious listeners might have reconsidered, it was too late. The band was already branded, not as musicians, but as a fad. The Bay City Rollers didn't fail because they lacked success. They failed because they had too much of it, too fast, aimed at the wrong audience. Popularity didn't elevate them. It erased their credibility. Number 9, the Osmonds. At the start of the 1970s, the Osmonds seemed untouchable. They were clean-cut, smiling, perfectly behaved. In a decade defined by long hair, rebellion, and suspicion of authority, the Osmonds represented the opposite. A wholesome family band from Utah, raised in the Mormon faith, presented as safe entertainment for all ages. Radio loved them. One Bad Apple hit #1 in 1971. More hits followed. They appeared constantly on television, variety shows, talk shows, even cartoons. Parents approved. Children adored them. Critics did not. To rock purists, the Osmonds felt like a corporate response to cultural unrest. They were positioned as the alternative to dangerous rock music, a product designed to reassure, not challenge. That positioning proved costly. Even though the group could sing, harmonize, and play their instruments, none of it mattered. Their image overwhelmed their ability. The more popular they became, the harder it was to take them seriously. Matching outfits became symbols of control. Choreographed routines were read as artificial. Sincerity was reinterpreted as calculation. By the mid-1970s, liking the Osmonds openly became embarrassing for anyone trying to maintain cultural credibility. Their success worked against them. They sold millions of records and lost respect at the same time. The Osmonds didn't disappear because audiences stopped listening. They disappeared because culture stopped caring what they represented. Being everywhere made them easy to dismiss, and once that label stuck, it never really faded. Number 8, Electric Light Orchestra. Electric Light Orchestra arrived with ambition written into the name. Jeff Lynne wanted to take rock music somewhere new. He wasn't trying to strip it down. He wanted to build it up. Violins, cellos, layered harmonies, studio precision. In the early 1970s, that sounded bold. Radio responded quickly. Songs like Evil Woman, Livin' Thing, and Telephone Line became unavoidable. The melodies were strong. The hooks worked. The production sounded expensive and intentional. Audiences loved it. Critics grew suspicious. To rock purists, ELO felt calculated. Every note planned, every arrangement polished, nothing left to chance. At a time when authenticity was increasingly defined by rough edges and imperfection, ELO offered the opposite. The more popular they became, the louder the criticism grew. Reviewers labeled the music overproduced, too clean, too controlled. The accusations stuck. Instead of being praised for craftsmanship, ELO was criticized for lacking danger. The precision that made the songs memorable became evidence against them. Live shows didn't help their reputation among skeptics. Spaceships, laser lights, sci-fi imagery, what fans saw as spectacle, critics saw as excess. By the late 1970s, the backlash intensified when ELO moved closer to disco rhythms. The Discovery album and the Xanadu soundtrack made them chart toppers. And cultural targets. Rock fans accused them of chasing trends. Music journalists dismissed them as glossy pop, pretending to be important. Jeff Lynne didn't deny the polish. He leaned into it, but popularity hardened the narrative. ELO became shorthand for everything critics distrusted about 1970s arena-scale pop: big, carefully constructed, emotionally safe. Their success didn't shield them. It reframed them. Electric Light Orchestra didn't lose credibility because the music failed. They lost it because the culture decided perfection wasn't rock anymore. Number 7, Kansas. Kansas didn't look like rock stars. They came from the American Midwest, not London, not Los Angeles, and they played progressive rock. That contradiction followed them everywhere. In the mid-1970s, Kansas broke through with a sound that mixed classical influences, complex arrangements, and heartland imagery. Violins shared space with electric guitars. Long compositions sat next to radio-friendly choruses. Radio embraced them. Carry On, Wayward Son became a massive hit in 1976. 2 years later, Dust in the Wind was everywhere, and that song changed everything. Dust in the Wind was quiet, acoustic, philosophical. It played at proms, school dances, graduations. Critics immediately lost interest. What audiences heard as reflective and sincere, critics heard as earnest to the point of embarrassment. The song's popularity stripped it of mystery. Kansas suddenly felt uncool. Progressive rock fans dismissed them as too commercial. Mainstream rock fans found them too complicated. They satisfied neither camp. The band's image didn't help. Kansas looked ordinary, Midwestern, unpretentious. At a time when rock credibility increasingly depended on either danger or irony, Kansas offered neither. Their biggest success became their burden. Every time Dust in the Wind played in another gymnasium or soft focus montage, the band's reputation slipped further away from seriousness. They kept touring, they kept recording, but the narrative was set. Kansas became known not for ambition, but for that one song, and the feelings it made people uncomfortable admitting they once felt. Their popularity didn't destroy them financially, it destroyed the space they occupied culturally. Kansas paid the price for reaching too many people in too gentle a way. Number 6, REO Speedwagon. REO Speedwagon earned their success the hard way. Throughout the 1970s, they toured relentlessly, small clubs, college gyms, endless nights on the road. They were a working band, no gimmicks, no hype. For years, critics respected that. Then the hits arrived. By the end of the decade, REO Speedwagon shifted toward a softer, more emotional sound. The songs were still well crafted, but they aimed directly at radio. When Keep On Loving You arrived in 1980, the transformation was complete. Audiences loved it. The song was huge, unavoidable, played constantly. Critics recoiled. To them, REO Speedwagon had crossed an invisible line. Sincerity became sentimentality. Emotion became manipulation. What once felt honest now felt calculated. The timing made it worse. Punk had already declared war on arena rock excess. New wave favored detachment and irony. Rawness mattered again. REO Speedwagon offered emotional openness instead. That openness became their liability. Music writers labeled them soft, safe, designed for mass appeal. Their popularity erased the years they'd spent earning credibility. They sold out arenas. They topped charts. And yet, among tastemakers, they became shorthand for everything rock was trying to move away from. REO Speedwagon didn't lose respect because they stopped working hard. They lost it because their success became too visible, too emotional, too sincere. They paid the price for being loved loudly, in a moment when coolness demanded distance. Number 5, Foreigner. Foreigner didn't sound accidental. From the beginning, everything about them felt precise. Clean arrangements, strong hooks, professional production. They knew how to make records that worked on radio, and radio couldn't get enough of them. By the late 1970s, songs like Cold as Ice and Feels Like the First Time were everywhere. They crossed formats easily. Rock stations played them. Pop stations embraced them. Audiences responded immediately. Critics grew uneasy. To music writers, Foreigner felt engineered, not discovered, not dangerous. They were accused of being built for success rather than shaped by struggle. That accusation followed them closely. As punk and new wave gained momentum, authenticity became the currency of credibility. Imperfection mattered. Rough edges mattered. Foreigner offered none of that. Their polish became evidence against them. Reviewers described the music as sterile, calculated, designed for maximum accessibility and minimum risk. The band's professionalism, once an advantage, became a liability. Foreigner didn't inspire outrage, they inspired indifference. And in critical culture, that was worse. They dominated radio playlists while being dismissed as corporate rock. Music that filled arenas but emptied conversations. Number 4, Boston. Boston sounded flawless. From the first seconds of More Than a Feeling, every element felt engineered for impact. Layered guitars, perfectly tuned harmonies, a chorus designed to explode out of the speakers. Radio embraced it immediately. Released in 1976, Boston's debut album became one of the fastest-selling debuts in history. Stations played the songs relentlessly. Audiences never seemed to get tired of them. Critics did. What listeners heard as power and clarity, critics heard as control. There were no rough edges, no imperfections, nothing that suggested struggle. That perfection made people uneasy. Boston's sound was built largely in Tom Scholz's basement studio. He approached recording like an engineering problem, refining and layering until everything locked into place. The result was impressive and emotionally distant. As punk rock exploded with its rejection of polish and professionalism, Boston became an easy target. Their music represented everything punk wanted to tear down: too clean, too careful, too safe. Boston's popularity hardened the criticism. The more often the songs played, the more artificial they sounded to those looking for authenticity. Perfection stopped feeling powerful. It felt cold. The band continued selling millions of records, but their reputation was already defined. Boston didn't lose credibility because they failed. They lost it because they succeeded in sounding exactly as intended. Their music worked too well. And in the late 1970s, that made it suspicious. Number 3, Journey. Journey didn't start as a pop band. In the early 1970s, they were a progressive rock outfit. Long songs, jazz influences, extended instrumental sections. Critics took them seriously. Then Steve Perry joined in 1977. Everything changed. Perry's voice was undeniable, high, powerful, emotionally direct. Radio responded instantly. Journey simplified their sound. Shorter songs, bigger choruses, clearer emotions. By the end of the decade, they were arena rock royalty. Audiences loved it, critics did not. To music writers, Journey's transformation looked like a surrender. Complexity replaced with accessibility. Experimentation replaced with repetition. The vocals became the focus, and the problem. Perry's soaring delivery was described as excessive, too theatrical, too calculated to provoke emotion. What fans heard as passion, critics heard as manipulation. The timing made the backlash inevitable. Punk and new wave were rejecting emotional excess. Irony mattered. Restraint mattered. Journey offered none of that. Their songs were built for mass sing-alongs, lighters in the air, voices rising together. That spectacle became evidence against them. Journey didn't lose credibility because they changed styles. They lost it because the change worked too well. They filled arenas. They dominated radio. And in doing so, they became symbols of everything alternative culture wanted to escape. Their popularity wasn't questioned. Their seriousness was. Journey paid the price for being emotionally obvious, in an era that increasingly valued distance. Number 2, Kiss. Kiss never pretended to be subtle. From the beginning, they were larger than the music. Makeup, costumes, fire, blood. They turned rock concerts into theater. Audiences loved it. By the mid-1970s, Kiss were selling out arenas around the world. Their shows felt dangerous, loud, and unforgettable. Fans didn't just listen to Kiss, they joined them. Critics were appalled. To music writers, Kiss represented spectacle over substance, style over skill, noise over meaning. The makeup became a problem. It allowed critics to dismiss the band without listening closely. The characters, the demon, the star child, the spaceman, the catman, were treated as gimmicks, not artistic choices. And then came the merchandise. Lunchboxes, action figures, comic books, pinball machines. Kiss became a brand. That visibility carried a cost. Rock culture still clung to the idea that authenticity required restraint, that excess meant emptiness, that popularity meant compromise. Kiss violated every one of those assumptions. They didn't deny it, they embraced it, which only deepened the backlash. Music journalists mocked the band relentlessly. They questioned their musicianship. They dismissed the songs as simplistic and interchangeable. But the fans didn't leave. Kiss filled arenas while critics sharpened their knives. The divide hardened. Kiss didn't lose credibility because they failed to connect. They lost it because they connected too broadly and too loudly. Their popularity made them impossible to ignore and impossible for critics to forgive. Number 1, Bee Gees. No one in the 1970s paid a higher price for popularity than the Bee Gees. By the end of the decade, they weren't just successful, they were unavoidable. Radio played them constantly. Television showcased them everywhere. Their voices defined the sound of the moment. Then came Saturday Night Fever. Released in 1977, the soundtrack turned the Bee Gees into the biggest act in the world. Stayin' Alive, Night Fever, How Deep Is Your Love. The songs dominated the charts. The album sold tens of millions of copies. Disco crossed from clubs into mainstream culture. And that was the problem. As disco took over radio, rock fans felt displaced. The music felt slick, dance-focused, disconnected from guitars, rebellion, and tradition. The Bee Gees became the face of that shift. The backlash was swift and personal. Disco sucks wasn't just a slogan, it was a movement. In 1979, Disco Demolition Night in Chicago turned record burning into a public spectacle. Disco records were destroyed on a baseball field. The event spiraled into chaos. And the Bee Gees became the symbol of what people wanted gone. What made the backlash so brutal was how quickly it arrived. Just months earlier, the Bee Gees were celebrated. Now they were mocked, blamed, targeted. Radio stations quietly stopped playing their music. Magazine covers turned from praise to ridicule. The falsetto that once sounded modern became a joke. None of this reflected the music itself. The Bee Gees were accomplished songwriters with deep harmonic understanding. They had written hits long before disco. They would write hits long after. But context didn't matter anymore. They were too visible, too successful, too closely tied to a genre people suddenly wanted to erase. The Bee Gees didn't fall out of favor because they lost relevance. They fell because their popularity became cultural shorthand. Their success crossed a line. And once that happened, there was no way back.